All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we back for another week of Just a Fan Podcast. All right. You see what the title says? It's time for the Super Bowl Showdown. Quarter host, you already know. NFL Encyclopedia, Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing, Coach Williams. And I love simulated pressures. That's right. That direction. Panel 316. The defensive mind that runs this whole thing. He need to change his little thing on the bottom, but
whatever. No, I don't. I said I'm standing on
business. What I said. He needs to change it.
I don't need to change a damn thing. I need to respect Cam Newton, Nick Wright. All y'all need to put some respect on Brock Purdy's name. Period.
Down below.
I said what I said.
The person is very intentional about that.
The person who came up with the idea for this thing, Steve White, man, what's up?
What's going on? What's happening? A lot to talk about. It's a big week. Big week we have right here.
Man, coming live from Las Vegas, Nevada. 6:30 p.m. kickoff. It is the George Hollis NFC champion San Francisco 49ers versus the Hunt family AFC champions Kansas City Chiefs. And man, the Hunt family does own the Kansas City Chiefs, so it's home. It's home. But who's going to win the Vince Lombardi Super Bowl trophy? Let's get into it, gentlemen. Let's get into it. Hey, so you got two teams in Vegas right now, okay? Both teams landed in Vegas back on Sunday, okay? I think yesterday was media day. I didn't get into all that. I think today was also media day, and I think that might be it. So I think tomorrow, Thursday, are definitely going to be practices. Friday might be practice or walkthrough. Saturday might be a very, very light walkthrough. And then Sunday's the big game, okay? But one team is practicing where the Raiders play. And then the other team is practicing where the UNLV football team plays.
Trash.
But that football field where UNLV plays is so soft.
Trash.
And it's being compared to the field at MetLife Stadium. Now, a lot of players at MetLife Stadium have gotten injured over the last couple of years. It's almost like, it's not as bad as Vet Stadium, but it's not too far away from Vet Stadium now. So the 49ers are practicing at the terrible football field. The Kansas City Chiefs are practicing where the Raiders play. Goodell's not making adjustments. Go ahead, Steve.
I don't know why they wouldn't just have them practice on the game field, just in different time slots.
Yeah, one practice in the morning, one practice in the afternoon,
and then you alternate it the next day. I don't.
Yeah, one practice at 9 in the morning, then one practice at 1 p.m. Give them both 2 hours.
It's clear mismanagement by the NFL, but typically the policy in the NFL is whoever the designated home team is for the Super Bowl, they get their choice of facilities. And then whoever the designated away team is, basically gets whatever's left in that city, that particular city the Super Bowl is being hosted. So, for example, had the NFC been the designated home team, then the Niners would have got a chance to pick where they wanted to practice, and the Chiefs would have got what was left. Either way, it's not fair.
So is the home team designated by the host city or by the
conference?
Okay, I'm like,
so next year.
Okay.
Yeah, so next year it'll be the NFC, which is, but the point is that the Niners don't have adequate facilities to practice in. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are practicing in the Raiders facility, which is blasphemous if you're a Raiders fan. But if you want to really be fair, it would be blasphemous for the Niners to be practicing in the Raiders facility anyway. But either way, the Raiders not here. But they got nothing but time. It's a vacated facility. But they playing on they're practicing on a bad field. The footing is not great. They're out in the rain. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are practicing in the indoor facility.
Man, they could have They could have had Fran. They could have wherever the Las Vegas Aces play or the hockey team. They could have made some accommodations for San Fran to.
Oh, you preaching to the choir.
You know,
we don't make the news. We just report it and we just talk about our business.
Yeah. So, anyway, okay.
Yeah, but the point is that the Niners probably won't be having full go practices. They'll be doing everything at half speed, doing walkthroughs because of the condition of the field. They don't want to risk anybody turning an ankle, tearing an ACL, that type of thing right before the Super Bowl, because that's jacked up. But they shouldn't have to worry about that. They should go through their regular practice like they would if it was any other game. Meanwhile, the Chiefs going full tilt on a nice indoor facility, climate control, because it's crazy because it's raining in Vegas right now in the middle of the desert. You know, all of that stuff that's happening on the West Coast, all that rain and stuff like that. They're having landslides and everything because they're not used to that. But yeah, the Niners. I actually saw footage of the Niners practicing in the rain today. You know, it's like, really? So, but I personally, if I was a player, I would take that personally, and I would use that as fuel for the game. Like, y'all finna get all the smoke. I had to practice out in the rain. Y'all in a nice indoor facility that's climate controlled and got a roof on it. I'm finna show you how the dogs act when they get out in the wild, because that's what we had to practice, in the wild. So, but I just, there's a lot of people talking about it. There's been a lot of talk about it on sports media. It's really not cool, but it is what it is. But I feel like the Niners are physically a tougher team than the Chiefs, so I don't think it'll matter too much. But it is noteworthy.
It is noteworthy. And like I said earlier, man, if you'd have had one team play in the morning, one team play in the afternoon, give them both 2.5 hours apiece, however much time they need, and then like Steve said, just flip it over the next day. Do that. It shouldn't be one team, the home team gets to choose the field, and then the second team gets to choose what's left over. If that's the case, then you need to start having Super Bowls where they have more than one football fields available. Like, for example, Dallas. If you would have had it at AT&T Stadium, you'd have had a choice of either TCU Stadium or SMU Field.
Hell, some of the high school stadiums in the DFW are better quality than UNLV Stadium. Okay,
I'm sure it is.
We talking about Texas high school football.
Man, come on, man. Now Texas high school football fields ain't. It's better quality than some of these colleges, man.
Yeah, Cincinnati, the Bengals, or Cleveland. I think it's the Bengals. They have like 4 or 5 practice fields.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not saying they should practice at the same time, but they have facilities available in a few other cities. Yeah, being in the band, they have several fields.
Matter of fact, the Raiders haven't. I'm surprised the Raiders haven't built like a whole separate practice. Well, maybe they don't need it because they probably just practice in the stadium. But I'm surprised they don't have like a separate practice bubble or something somewhere.
No, they do. That's where the Chiefs are practicing.
Yeah, that's what Chiefs are practicing.
The indoor facility.
Yeah, not the game field.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're not practicing at the actual stadium. They're practicing at the bubble facility.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, wait a minute. Why don't the Chiefs just practice at where the game is going to be played, and then the 49ers practice at the bubble facility?
Yeah, no, they have access to all the Raiders facilities basically, but the Raiders do have a indoor facility and not separate from Allegiant Stadium. It's kind of like down here in Houston, the Texans have NRG Stadium, but they also have a practice bubble.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, the Raiders do have that. That's what the Chiefs have access to all of that. So
goodness.
That's
crazy. Well, hopefully all the players stay healthy leading up to this game. Hopefully none of these players pull what was that Raiders player that plays center that against the Buccaneers?
I know who you're talking about. I cannot think of his name.
Was it Barry Roberts?
As a matter of fact, yeah, I think that's what it was. My high school classmate, Frank Middleton, played on that team, on that offensive line for the Raiders of that Super Bowl. And he was, I want to say he was roommates. I'm going to have to ask Frank, but he played right next to that guy, and it was like, I don't know. I never asked him about it, but there was some big story about that.
It was a big story. I think dude might have been wasted overnight, like the night before the game or something.
I don't know.
It was something. It was something, but
I will try to find out because I know one of his teammates personally. So, yeah, I can ask if he wants to tell me. He can tell me. So
yeah. So yeah, hopefully, all these, like I said, all these players get there healthy, not in some little county, city jail, whatever, man. Just
in Bear Robbins' defense, he did have mental illness. He did have bipolar. So I do want to share that.
Oh yeah, that's why I say I don't know the whole story. Yeah. I'm not gonna comment it.
Okay, you're right.
Because I did hear some stuff about that. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we let's go to X Factor. Who would it be an X Factor in this game? Someone we least expect to do something like for example, Larry Brown, who won Super Bowl MVP for the Cowboys, had 2 interceptions in that game. Unexpected. What's his name? Desmond Howard had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Unexpected.
Dexter Jackson for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, he had like 2 interceptions himself.
Yeah, and he was like, he's a role-playing safety, but that's why, we talk about, and we're going to get into it later, who we think our MVP is. That's a crapshoot because it's whoever has the best game. And it could be anybody in a situation like this with teams like this. But I have 2 X factors, basically. Okay. If you want to talk about the unexpected guys, not the usual suspects, but the unexpected guys in this particular case. For me, for the 49ers, it's going to be Jawan Jennings. 49er fans refer to him as third in Jawan.
That's a good one.
Jawan Jennings has more third down conversions for someone who's not a full-time starter than anybody else on the team. Like, he converts big time. Like the catch he made against Detroit, where Brock Purdy threw across his body and Jawan Jennings went up and like did he almost did like an Odell Beckham, like the one hand come down.
That was a Tyree catch, David Tyree.
Yeah, Tyree. I remember that.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was, but he makes catches like that on a regular basis. He's also a 7th rounder, just like Brock Purdy is. A lot of people don't know that. And he fell all the way to the 7th round. He had a good career at Tennessee, but he fell to the 7th round because he ran a 4.75. And they felt like he didn't have the speed, but his route tree is immaculate. He runs incredible routes and he has great hands, but he's just not fast. He ain't gonna beat you deep. He is not. I don't think he beat me deep.
Well, you know what? He sounds like a Jarvis Landry almost.
He's
4.7 is great for a tight end. You have some DBs who ran slower than that.
He's a receiver, Steve.
What I'm saying is, okay, exactly my same point. You have some DBs that have slower 40s than that.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But that's my X factor because he's very difficult to cover because even if you're with him, he has the frame to box you out. He has the length to go and catch those contested balls. And he's 6'2",
6'3".
No, he's 6'3", 6'4", something like that.
Okay.
I think he's the tallest receiver on the 49ers roster.
Okay, and I'm sure, he has the ability to to separate, even though he's not fast.
He can separate because his routes are crispy.
Yeah, see,
they crispy.
Yeah.
So for the Chiefs, my X factor would be someone who hasn't played in a few weeks, but is going to actually play. It's a high probability he's going to play in this game, and that's Sky Moore. For a long time, Patrick Mahomes lost the services of Sky Moore due to an injury, and he at one point was one of the more reliable receivers as far as hands were concerned. and he's going to play in this game. So, when we were talking about all the drops and the inconsistencies with the Chiefs wide receivers, Sky Moore wasn't playing during that time. Now, he's kind of like a Jawan Jennings. He's not spectacular, but will he make the catch if he's targeted? Yeah. And so I'm really hoping that Steve Wilkes has really paid attention to the film previously before Sky Moore got injured. And it's like, okay, we got to watch this guy because he's just as dangerous as a Rashee Rice or a Travis Kelce. But he can't be slept on. And if he does get slept on, let's say they put him in the slot or whatever like that, or they put him out wide against like an Ambry Thomas, it could cause problems. So those are my two X factors for this game. Like your unexpected guys, the guys you're not really paying attention to, but could have really important, not necessarily have important games like where they go out and catch for a bill, but they make like really pivotal plays in crucial moments. Both of those guys have the ability to do that. So yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Steve, you have an X factor since you on?
Yeah, I like Sky Moore from Eric. For the Chiefs, I'm gonna say Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Ooh. Okay.
I know Tank was the workhorse. I just feel like it's gonna be some long, tough drives for KC, and they gotta go to RB2, and that's what that is. And he's gonna put up some numbers. For San Fran, I'm probably gonna say I'm probably gonna say use check. I think there's gonna be some surprising plays that we haven't really seen him being used in, where he could have a big day too. I also think about Vegas, and I also think about, because we're in a stage now where the coaches are analyzing game plans, what they've done, film. I think some new stuff going to be pulled out that includes these two players, Juszczyk and Clyde.
Okay. You got to pull out all the stops for this one because
you really do.
There is no tomorrow after this, So it's only a question of what you're gonna be doing at the next day after this game. Will you be celebrating or will you have your head down? So there is no tomorrow. There's no other game to get ready for after this. So you got to pull out all the stops, which those are the keys to victory, which we forgot to talk about, Brandon, in pre-production, but we need to talk about keys to victory, what each team needs to do to win.
Okay. I can add that on somewhere in here, okay? I tell you what, my X factor, as long as he lines up opposite of Trent Williams, he can be a X factor. George Karlaftis. I think
he lines up on the offensive right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, he has to line up opposite Trent Williams because Trent Williams at left tackle, and he line up at right over the right tackle. So, he might be able to get maybe 2 sacks, maybe 3. He's just going to have to work. He's going to have to work hard for this. And Spags, Steve Spagnuolo, Spag, they call him Spags for short. If there's anybody I can trust for defensive coordinator to get his guys home for pressures, that's him. Because when he's with the Giants, he had 4 defensive linemen who got after the quarterback in 2007 with no problems. And he's a 5-man pressure guy. So George Karlaftis, I know I might pronounce his last name wrong, but
no, I think you got it right. It's Karlaftis. I think that's correct.
And then for San Francisco, you know who I like? Tre'Davious Ward. I like him.
Charvarius Ward.
Thank you. Charvarius Ward. Good corner. He is a former Chief and a former Cowboy, but he's a 49er and
second team All-Pro,
like you said. If he's able to, he might get a pick or 2 and maybe house one. You just never know. You never know. So Traverse Ward for San Francisco, and George Karlaftis for Kansas City.
All right.
Liability. E, who you got?
I got a list of liabilities for each team. I'm gonna start with Kansas City.
Okay.
These are liabilities, and if you're a KC fan, you're watching this, you know I'm telling the truth. You can get mad if you want to, but you know I'm telling the truth. Your entire wide receiver core
Oh my goodness.
is a liability. Okay. Kansas City leads the league in drops, 44 drops throughout this entire season. Okay. Now they've improved over the last couple of playoff games for the divisional round and the AFC
Conference
Championship.
Yep.
Yeah, they did improve. I'm not finna sit up here and be a hater because that's what they do. They just make up stuff and it's not true. They did improve. However, they could come back down to earth. And I mean, I don't trust Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't really trust. I don't even think Kadarius Toney is playing after his wild and crazy rant on social media, which is like the dumbest thing ever. Because at this point, he's pulling an Antonio Brown, and he's basically sacrificing his career on the altar of his ego.
Yes.
Because they looking at you with all these drops. They looking at you lining up on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Then you, instead of owning it and taking accountability, you up here attacking your team, your franchise, and your coach on social media. Most NFL teams are going to view you as a head case that is not that reliable, and they're not going to want to sign you. So Kansas City is in a position right now where they are, it's a financial liability to try to release him. So they just going to shelve him. I really don't think he's going to even play in this game. If he does, we'll see. But I don't trust him to be dangerous in this game, not against this defense. I don't. But the wide receiver core for Kansas City, whoever the backup is for Charles Omenihu.
I was going to say that.
That's an issue. Charles Omenihu, former 49er. There's a lot of player swapping going on here. There's a lot of players that play for the Chiefs that used to play for the Niners. There's a lot of players that play for the Niners used to play for the Chiefs. A lot of people don't realize that. But Charles Omenihu used to play for the Niners. I think he put up like 6.5 sacks when he's with the Niners and was a great run defender. He's out with a torn ACL. That whoever his backup is, that's going to be kind of interesting to watch to see if they can even, be a threat in the pass rush, which is going to force the Kansas City Chiefs to maybe do more blitzing to get pressure on Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy has one of the highest passer ratings in the league when he's blitzed.
Okay.
Like that's a statistical fact that he is really good against the blitz. So that could be a liability. And then lastly, Joe Tooney being out. But the issue is going to be that, can the interior defensive line really, for the 49ers, really step up? So those are my Chiefs liabilities. For the 49ers, I have Ambry Thomas. Whenever the 49ers go nickel, Ambry Thomas comes and plays the outside, and Diamador Lenore, who's a whole dog, he comes inside to the slot. But Ambry Thomas is a liability because either he's going to get beat or he's going to commit a long penalty. If I'm Patrick Mahomes, I'm chunking balls deep, to whoever is on a deep route, whoever's Ambry Thomas is covering, because basically we know he's going to either give up the catch or he's going to commit the penalty. That's free first downs. I would literally have that in my game plan. The second one is Jake Moody, the kicker. If the Niners still had Robbie Gould, this would not even be a concern. But Jake Moody has missed a kick the last 3 games. And easy ones. Okay. And I honestly feel like this is going to be a close game, just like last time they met in the Super Bowl 4 years ago. Okay. And if it comes down to the kicker, I'm deeply concerned. If it comes down to the
because this might be too big for him, especially if you're down by 2 points and you need that game-winning field goal. I mean, the lights are all over you.
and then the last liability, and y'all know where I'm going with this, is one, Mr. Kyle Shanahan. Because you had the ball and a 10-point lead with 6 minutes left in the Super Bowl 4 years ago. At that point in the game, Raheem Mostert was averaging 5 yards a carry against the Kansas City defense, who wasn't that good at that against the run that year. And guess what? Isn't that good against the run this year? And he didn't close the game out. You hand the ball off to Raheem Mostert, you hand the ball off to Deebo Samuel, you chew the clock up, you have a 6 Lombardi trophy in Santa Clara. Kyle Shanahan lost that Super Bowl 4 years ago. And he could do the same thing because Kyle Shanahan has a tendency to really crap the bed in big games. He is a liability. He has to know how to not screw up the obvious things. It's obvious. Your shoe untied, bend over and tie your shoe. Don't try to keep walking down the stairs. Okay? Yes, Antoine, you're absolutely right. It's his fault that the Atlanta Falcons lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots with a 25-point lead, and you had 2 quality running backs. Run the ball, eat the clock. Run the ball, eat the clock. Run the ball, eat the clock. Run the ball. Oh, we scored. Now we really ahead. Run the ball, eat the clock. Run the ball, eat the clock. Now the Atlanta Falcons are the Super Bowl champions. But no, I want my quarterback to drop back and chunk it all over the field.
By the way, the anniversary passed like a day or two ago.
That was 7 years ago to 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago. Yeah, the anniversary is passed. Yep.
Yesterday. I'm sorry, 7 years ago yesterday.
Okay, it was yesterday. Okay. All right, my liabilities. Well, you already mentioned the 2 I have with Kansas City. My liability for San Francisco, if it's not all of them, it might be 1 or 2 of them, and I have no names. But some of those players on the offensive line for San Francisco.
Oh, I can give you names.
And we're not talking Trent Williams because Trent Williams can handle any pass rusher by himself.
Let me tell you something. Outside of Trent Williams, the 49ers have one of the worst offensive lines in football. People don't realize that. They are ranked like 23rd or 24th in PFF.
Well, there you go.
It's that bad.
So
we just been putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound all season long.
Well, and now luckily for you guys, Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz. So it's going to be interesting. Again, Steve Spagnuolo, how does he blitz San Francisco and blitz Brock Purdy, knowing that Purdy is good against the blitz? That's going to be very interesting. And matter of fact, now that I'm talking like this, we might as well just jump into keys to victory.
Mm-hmm. Steve, do you have your liabilities in X Factors?
If he's on, I don't think he's on. I don't think he's there yet.
Okay.
No, he stepped away. He stepped back away. I think Steve Spagnuolo's blitzing versus Brock Purdy's success against the blitz is crucial. Let's see, that's when San Francisco has the ball. So when Kansas City has the ball, and I know Eric don't like this, but that wide 9, it sounds good, but it is a liability against pin and pull, and it's a liability against the trap play on the outside. And
the crank toss.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see.
So
how San Francisco defends that, and they were blasted by media about loafing on a couple of run plays,
and that's what I was about to get on. It's not the scheme; it's the effort, because the scheme has been run the last 3 or 4 years, and San Francisco has had a top 5 run defense because of that. They had a top in the regular season. They were number 3 against the run. It's effort. Period. The scheme works. You don't get to be number 3 against the run and the scheme not working. The scheme works. It's effort, and I'm putting it squarely on the shoulders of Chase Young. It was some other players too, but Chase Young is really hasn't been doing what he's supposed to be doing. The fact that a lot of people don't really look at it, but Cleveland Farrell being hurt, who's not a great pass rush at defensive end, but he was a phenomenal edge setter. Phenomenal edge setter. And people, they overlook the fact that he basically, was a huge part of that run defense. So they got to crank up the effort, and it's been addressed. And we're gonna see just how good of a coach Steve Wilkes is, not schematically, but motivation wise. We're about to find out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if the 49ers can stop the run
on the outside,
oh baby, we got a different game now. Because you stop the run, you have some fun. You're a defensive coach. You heard that saying before. So that's the thing. And honestly, both teams have to stop the run because Kansas City's not that good of a run defense.
That is true.
Baltimore just chose not to run the ball. That we could be having a different conversation right now, and all the conspiracy theorists could be saying, "See, I told you, Baltimore and San Francisco. Baltimore could be in the Super Bowl right now had they chose to run the ball."
By the way, and I'm not trying to bring this up as a topic, but just real quick, people are still thinking this game is still rigged.
Yeah, those people are not very bright, and that's just what America is at this point. Because you got a bunch of people who, the loudest people, don't really know what they're talking about. So, we ain't gonna worry about them. Oh, it's rigged. No, it's rigged because your team ain't playing. If your team was playing, you wouldn't be saying it. That's what it is. So we gonna but thanks for bringing up that point, though.
All right, so we agreed on keys to victory. Do you have anything different for keys to victory, or?
Yeah, San Francisco has to run the ball early and often. You have the best running back in football, who arguably could be offensive player of the year. I don't see anybody else being offensive player of the year. This man's got over 2,000 scrimmage yards. Okay. And Kansas City's not that good against the run. Run the ball. But Kyle Shanahan, again, he goes away from the obvious all the time. And it's like, okay, you're going up against a team that doesn't defend this well. Okay, do that. No, I'm going to do the opposite. That's Kyle Shanahan. You go up against a team that doesn't defend the pass well. You don't throw the ball. You're trying to run it. What are you doing? So like prime example, Detroit's run defense was phenomenal. Their pass defense was awful. The only reason why San Francisco got into passing more in the second half was because they had to. They were down by 17. Fortunately, it worked, but that's what I'm talking about. Kyle Shanahan does stuff like this. Green Bay, horrible run defense, great pass defense. What does Kyle Shanahan do? He has Brock Purdy dropping back to pass the whole time instead of just running down their throat and getting out of there. This is what I mean by the Kyle Shanahan factor. You playing a team, what is their weakness? Okay, if I'm fighting you and I know that if we in an MMA ring and I know you got a bad left knee, I'm kicking at your left knee. I know you got bad ribs on your left side. I'm hooking them ribs all the time. Kyle Shanahan refuses to do that.
But and for real, it don't even have to be MMA. I mean, you can keep it football. If a certain player, if a certain starter, especially how good he is injured and he's not available in the game, you're gonna attack his backup.
It just makes sense. It just makes sense. And that's the thing. Kyle Shanahan does not do things that make sense. It makes the most sense in the world. And it's like, okay, your light bill and your cable bill are due. Pay the light bill. Because you can pay the cable bill, but if you ain't got no lights, you can't watch no TV anyway. And you see how much sense I just made right there? That makes no sense to Kyle Shanahan. That makes no sense to him. That's until he overcomes that, they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
All right. What's your key to victory for Kansas City, or do you not, or you just in agreement with me?
Catch the ball.
Definitely.
Catch the ball.
Yeah.
Offensively, their receivers have got to catch the ball. And then they've got to come downhill with Isaiah Pacheco and dare San Francisco to stop them from running the ball. They have to do it. They have to say, okay, San Francisco, we looking on Pro Football Reference. We see you number 3 against the run. The film don't show that, but it says you number 3. We gonna see if you really are number 3. Ambry Thomas over there. Let's go to nickel. Let's run out of the nickel. Okay, because now that opens up play action, and whoever Ambry Thomas is covering, I'm calling deep posts. I'm calling 9 routes, and I'm just chunking it. And I'm just going to see, okay, you got to stop us, Ambry Thomas. I'm not throwing at Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward just made second team All-Pro, and he's trying to make first team All-Pro next year because his contract's up next year. He's trying to get more money, whether it's in San Francisco or not. So Charvarius Ward got blood in his eye, dog, and I can't see. Many men wish death upon me. That's 50 Cent. But that's Charvarius Ward. I wouldn't go at him, but I definitely would go after Ambry Thomas to see if you really can play.
Okay.
So I'm Kansas City. That's what I'm doing. And yes, keep feeding Travis Kelce, although I think the 49ers had the X factor for Travis Kelce, and that's Mr. Fred Warner. Fred Warner is the best coverage linebacker in the game. What happens is Travis Kelce, he bodies defensive backs. He did poke Kyle Hamilton wrong. Oh, he did Kyle Hamilton so dirty. And Kyle Hamilton's a phenomenal player. But you got he bodies defensive backs, and then he just flat out outruns linebackers. Well, when you got a Fred Warner used to be a defensive back. Fred Warner, I know you remember the divisional game a year ago. They had a seam route that CD Lamb ran, and Fred Warner running step for step with him up the field. I'm like, that's a receiver, dog. What you cover this dude? So he's not going to body Fred Warner because Fred Warner's got the stature, and he's not going to outrun Fred Warner. So I think that could, if the 49ers do that, they can take away Travis Kelce. But Andy Reid's a genius, and Andy Reid takes the obvious stuff. So, okay, we're going to send Kelce on a seam route. All right, Fred, he going to carry Fred, and then we're going to send Jerick McKinnon, who's going to be playing, across on a short drag. And there's nobody there to stop him when he catches the ball. Maybe Dre Greenlaw is over there covering him.
All right.
It's a lot of moving pieces in this particular Super Bowl. This is not grits and gravy. This is we talking about 5-star dining when we talking about these schemes that both these teams are running. You look at some of these experts, how they break down film on both these teams. It's a lot of moving pieces. Both of these teams are machines. So it's going to come down to who can exploit the other team's weaknesses on defense, I think, in this game.
All right. Let's talk legacy. Okay. What do these legacy means for both quarterbacks? Let's start with Brock Purdy. And I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I think for Brock, the legacy for him, if San Francisco wins, would be huge. Okay, you're talking about a kid who was Mr. Irrelevant. Okay, which means you were not only drafted in the 7th round, but you was also
the last pick of
the 7th round. He's the last pick of the draft, excuse me.
Last pick of the, yeah.
Okay. You came in as a camp arm, and a camp arm, for those who don't know, is a 4th-string quarterback, because we do have people who watch the show who doesn't know everything football, and that's fine. Camp arm is usually a 4th-string quarterback. Kurt Warner was a camp arm when he was in Green Bay, for those who don't know. Okay. Brock Purdy winning a Super Bowl, because last year Garoppolo got hurt, Trey Lance got hurt, Brock Purdy came in, had a big game, looked like he might have taken San Francisco to the Super Bowl, but then he got hurt, unfortunately, and then he comes back this year, has a huge season, Had a bump in the road for 3 games. That's fine. Had a huge season. Not a good game against Baltimore. Okay. Made it to the playoffs, NFC Championship game. Now you're in the Super Bowl. This would be huge for him. This would be very, very huge for him. It would just say a whole lot for his career moving forward, because then you can sit there and say, hey, this kid is still young. He has a chance to win maybe a second Super Bowl, maybe even a third Super Bowl. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, basically, it would be a dynasty for him. 3 Super Bowl victories, 4 Super Bowl appearances.
Mm-hmm.
It would just further cement his Hall of Fame status. You know what I'm saying? So, and even for him, you can still sit there and say, hey, look, he's in his prime. He can win another Super Bowl 2, maybe a third one, another third one. So, you know, Steve, are you on?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So Mahomes is already in one of the all-time greats, man. And he just has so much future ahead of him as far as success, and he's doing this thing. He's already a legend. But Purdy, man, he has a chance to silence so many haters and doubters, man. And I think the hate comes from not just his draft position, but just he's quiet off the field, not dating no superstar celebrity. He just thinks about football. He performs. People forget, his ranking as far as all the QB categories and how great that is for him. So if he gets his bowl, I mean, it's going to force everybody to recognize him amongst a tier 1 QB. He's going to force that. I think he already is, but it's going to force everyone to buy into that.
I agree. They're gonna have to, or you're just gonna be stubborn and you just don't have the objectiveness to change your mind. Well, you don't have the objectiveness. You just gonna. I wouldn't listen to you on TV. Let me just say that. Go ahead, Eric.
So here's the thing. People who have been wearing back braces are going to just get bigger ones. Okay. Because there are people that are just convinced that he's not it. I'm talking about Brock Purdy. Okay. Now, you've had some people with some sense that have backtracked off of their criticism of him just from what he's done in the playoffs. Like, shout out to Ryan Clark for being a man and just backing off his incendiary comments. But you have people who are just going to continuously just hate on this man. I feel like his legacy is already set. I think this is just another feather in his cap if he's able to win this game. Because how many Mr. Irrelevance do you know got their team to a Super Bowl, put that team on his back for 2 games and got that team to a Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying? So I think his legacy is already cemented for those of us who can be pragmatic and look at this objectively. Now, if he goes out there and wins it, and let's say he's the reason why they win it, hey man, like I'm shout out to OG Light Skins. That's an Instagram page. At the end of all of their videos, somebody saying something stupid that's in their skits and they getting punched in the face. Those people need to get punched in the face. Bottom line, like at this point, Pat McAfee, who I agree with some of his takes, I don't, but he said something so brilliant last week. He said Brock Purdy could walk on water and there will still be people saying he had to do that because he can't swim. Well, write that down. And so you still gonna have the Cam Newtons and all of them and the Nick Wrights that still he could win this Super Bowl, throw for 3 bills, lead a comeback drive because literally he will be considered a dynasty buster. Because guess what? The only people that have beaten the Chiefs in the Super Bowl is the GOAT. Think about that. Every time the Chiefs go, they win. They took down a lot of folks. And the only team that's beating them is the GOAT and the Buccaneers. So if Brock Purdy's able to do this, you got to put him in a rarefied company and rarefied out. So, if he doesn't win this game, he's a second-year quarterback. And we talked about it before. He hadn't even reached his final form yet. He's still developing. He's going to come back even stronger. And the window for San Francisco is narrowing, but it ain't closed. So he could actually, okay, he can do it this year, but damn it, he going to do it next year or sometime in the near future before this window closes for all these contracts start hitting. So as a fan of the team, I'm really pleased with Brock Purdy. You got one more game, Brock. If you win this game, you're going to shut a lot of people up. And anybody else that's hating on you, Brock, if you watching this, anybody that's hating on you after you win this game, at this point, they are going to get ostracized. Ain't nobody going to listen to them no more. So moving on to Pat Mahomes, I have no dispute about what Steve said. Pat Mahomes, if anybody's position is solidified in this league as one of the greats, at this point, it's Pat Mahomes because he found a way to get to Super Bowl with a bum receiving core. Okay, Travis Kelce and a bum receiving core. He found a way because I think a lot of us, and you don't have to be honest about it at all, but I think a lot of us had counted Kansas City out toward the end of the season. We counted Kansas City out. But Pat Mahomes, he did what he did. And he did what he needed to do. Didn't have to do as much because he now has a better running game and he has a better defense than he's had since he's been in Kansas City. That's helped him. But he's still winning. So Pat Mahomes, honestly, like, he really doesn't have anything to lose. Everybody are considering him to be one of the greats. He could lose his game to Brock Purdy. They still going to be saying he's better. I think we can agree on that. He's still better than Josh Allen. He's still better than Joe Burrow. He's still better than this guy and that guy.
Right.
Even if he loses this Super Bowl. So he honestly has the least amount to lose. Brock Purdy has the most to lose because of all of his haters, which funny thing is, like, they interviewed Brock Purdy, asked about what Cam Newton said about him, and he said, well, Cam might be right, but there's like 90 plus quarterbacks in the league, and he's not one of them. Clap back.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask. I don't know, Steve, if you're still on or not. Let me ask y'all a quick question. If Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, where does this rank him of all-time quarterbacks?
Ooh, good question. Go ahead, Steve.
Because remember, his career stats doesn't match those probably, and maybe even the top 10 yet. But the rings, with 3 rings, he will have 3 like Troy Aikman. He will have 1 short of Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana. And I don't think, of course, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's don't have a quarterback that will have more. So where would I put him? Steve may
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, go ahead.
I think he's getting there, man. I mean, if he's able to beat San Fran, I mean, they're a really good team, man. He's, as far as ranking, I mean, he's probably already top 5 right now.
Yeah. He's one of the best. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of this league now.
Yeah, he is
right now. Like, he could lose this game. He could go out there and throw 3 picks, and people still gonna consider him one of the best quarterbacks.
Listen, exactly. He can retire today. He'll probably still be first ballot.
Okay.
2 MVPs, 2 rings. Like, if he wins this game, he's on the Brady trajectory, man. I mean, it's no doubt about that. It's no doubt.
I agree with that. I agree. His legacy is cemented. Per my previous rant, his legacy is cemented.
Okay.
He could win this game. It just adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, okay, you got a cake, you got icing. Now you're just putting sprinkles on it. Okay? Literally, seriously. So if he goes out and wins this game, his legacy is cemented. It's already cemented. He's just adding stuff to it. If he loses this game, Okay, so we scraped a little bit of the icing off. How many times do you bought some cupcakes and the cupcakes got kind of smushed up in the container, but you still ate them cupcakes? And they were still
Yep.
if he loses,
Yeah.
if Pat Mahomes loses, you still gonna eat them cupcakes.
Oh yeah.
All
So
right.
you know he'll be back if he did lose this. Like you know, when he lost to Brady, like he'll be back.
Okay.
He's been back. Like he's been back over and over again, man. I mean,
That is so true.
you know, him and Andy Reid and Casey Works. I saw an interview, man, on YouTube today. It was a producer and rapper combo, and they were like, man, they say if something works, don't change the formula, and they work. So keep it going.
All right.
I think honestly, regardless of the outcome of this game, both of these teams are going to be considered the best teams in the NFL for the next 2 or 3 years. Honestly,
Probably so, because
because they, I bag on John Lynch a lot, but he does make some good moves. We're going to find out just how good he is without Adam Peters this year. The Hunts have done a phenomenal job putting the team together. You leave Spagnuolo and Andy Reid alone and give them what they need, they're going to be a threat all the time.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
right now, nobody's better than San Francisco in the NFC.
No, and as a matter of fact, they proved that every team that made the playoffs in the NFC, San Francisco either beat them in the playoffs or in the regular season.
Well, I've been saying that since that SmackDown San Fran laid on Dallas. I said,
And you know what? You're right, Steve. You did say that.
Team.
And I wasn't convinced just yet, but you had to convince me.
Detroit.
I was like, we were rolling.
Detroit's good, but they lost to San Francisco. Green Bay's creeping on a come up. We'll see what happens with them moving forward. I think Dallas takes a step back, which I'm not happy about. And that's the only teams I'm mentioning the NFC.
But I did say after that SmackDown, I said, okay, well, we got to see San Fran. I've never turned the Cowboys game off like I did against San Fran. I said, okay, they got it. The AFC side, I said probably since November, the Ravens were the best AFC team in the regular season. I said
until they stop running the ball.
But not just that. I said, then playoff Chiefs are different. I said, playoff Chiefs are a different animal than what the regular season is.
Yes, it is.
You know.
But I think the AFC is a little bit more of a log jam as far as the talented teams go.
Oh my goodness,
they're gonna beat each other up in the coming years.
Coming years, shoot, this coming season they about to beat each other up. The AFC,
because now you have some teams that weren't in the conversation last year that are now have entered the chat, and it's like I got something to say. You know,
listen real quick. The AFC West brought in Jim Harbaugh.
My Lord.
We'll see what Antonio Pierce looks like with the Raiders. Sean Payton still building this Denver. AFC North, you got Baltimore. Joe Burrow got to stay healthy in Cincinnati. Deshaun Watson is back in Cleveland. AFC South, you got Houston creeping on the come up. Jacksonville and Indianapolis overachieved last year. Okay. And then AFC East, Buffalo, Miami, and we got to see what the Jets look like if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. We got to see what that. So that's 3 teams per division.
The AFC is going to cancel itself out.
3 teams per division. I want you to think about that.
Yeah. So the AFC
and only 7 can get in.
They're going to cancel each other out now.
Listen. They may look like the AFC. All right, that's cool. They might look like the AFC that when Tom Brady got hurt in 2008 when he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And they had all those winning teams.
Yeah.
And some teams just couldn't even get in the playoffs, even despite having like 11 victories.
And we're going to cover that more as
this
the offseason comes in, especially after the draft and free agency happens, because we'll really be able to put a handle on what's going on with these teams, but projecting before the draft, before free agency, even with the rosters that they have now and the coaches that they have now, there are going to be some teams in the AFC with winning records that will be on the outside looking in this time next year when the playoffs start.
Yes.
Because the AFC is just that good.
And I hope everybody stays healthy this time.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I want the quarterbacks to stay healthy because I like to see that. I like to see that fight.
Yes. Okay. Who has the most to lose and the most to gain in the Super Bowl? And for me, I think both answers go to San Francisco. Kansas City has already pretty much established themselves. For San Francisco, we talked about Brock Purdy already, but Kyle Shanahan will finally have that Super Bowl ring, and he can kind of do what Steve Young did in the early to mid 90s, get that big monkey off his back.
Yeah, because that's what it is. But here's the thing, man. When you go to the zoo and open the monkey cage and put it on your back, people don't have no sympathy for you. And that is true. Because Kyle Shanahan in countless years, not just the Super Bowl years, but the NFC Championship years, he's opened the monkey cage and put a banana on his neck, and the monkey jumped on his back. So that he's done it to himself. But I agree with you when you say that Kyle Shanahan has the most to lose, because if he loses this game on Sunday, they're going to be like, this dude just can't get it done in the big game.
He just can't win.
He just can't win the big ones. He's more.
You can win the NFC Championship game, but you just can't win the Super Bowl, and so that means you will always be the. And look, yes, you want to be the winner. There's nothing wrong being second place, but you prefer to be the winner at the end of the day. You really do.
Honestly, Kyle Shanahan could be Andy Reid when he's with the Eagles.
Ooh,
he could be, and it may take him some years
because Andy Reid struggled to even get past the NFC Championship game, except for that one time when he had T.O.
Yes, sir. And that was Kyle Shanahan's issue.
Yep.
For the longest, couldn't get past the NFC Championship.
But the difference in those two teams, Kyle Shanahan has a way better offense than what Andy Reid had.
Yeah, this is also true. But he again went to the monkey cage and opened it and put that monkey on his back like it was an overcoat.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, we could go on and on and on about the bad decisions he's made in games that he had in hand. Like you, oh my God, he had games in hand. The NFC Championship, they lost to the Rams, and the Rams went to the Super Bowl. I ain't even talking about the Jaquaski Tart dropped interception. I'm talking about you've been riding Deebo Samuel all through the playoffs, and in the fourth quarter when you really need it, he got one touch. One touch the entire fourth quarter. You really need it, but you gonna take your best player out the game, and I'm not taking him out physically. He was out there, but didn't get no touches. You go back and I talked about the Super Bowl already. You got a running back averaging 5 yards a carry, and you don't run the ball. You put it in the hands of your bum quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Stuff like that. It's things like that just raise that big question mark with Kyle Shanahan. It's like, man, what are you doing? So, that's called putting the monkey on your back. You volunteering to say, hey, you want a piggyback ride? But to your credit, to what you were saying, Brandon, I absolutely agree. He has the most to lose. Andy Reid could lose a Super Bowl. I lost one before, but I didn't want to. So
you're right.
I'm going to Super Bowl. I'd have been to 5 Super Bowls. This is Andy Reid's 5th Super Bowl, counting the Eagles. This is 5th Super Bowl.
And a host of conference championship games, man. This guy's he's the first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, so Andy Reid ain't got nothing to lose. Like, okay, if I win it, great. Hey. If I lose it, ain't no big deal. We'll be back next year. I got Patty Moe. You know what I'm saying? So, and they've seen us do it. Ain't nobody finna doubt us if we lose this week. Ain't nobody finna doubt us. They've seen us do it. Kyle Shanahan does not have that luxury. He doesn't have the luxury to say, hey, they didn't seen us do it before. It's okay if we lost. When Belichick lost them Super Bowls that to Eli Manning, he's like, hey, man, they ain't seen us do it before. We'll be back. Ain't a big deal. Ain't nobody doubted the Patriots at that point. They like, the Patriots gonna be back in it. We was all like, hey, they gonna be back. That's where the Chiefs are right now. Now, here's the thing. Because of that, what we're talking about right now, that gives San Francisco an edge. San Francisco's mindset is we got to have it. We got to have it. We want what you got. You done had it already. We want it, and we want it bad. Kansas City could go out there with the attitude like, hey, you know, we've been here before. Ain't no big deal, you know. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that could be a possibility, and that could be the edge that gives San Francisco a chance to win this game.
And the reason going to have to keep those guys focused throughout the game.
Because their mindset, hey, man, we've been here before. Ain't no big deal. But you get somebody like, oh, my God, we here. Let's go like that. So, you know, and that should be San Francisco's mindset, you know. Hey, we messed it up last time. We ain't going to mess it up this time, especially there are 10 veterans on this team that was in that game 4 years ago.
See?
They was in that game 4 years ago when they lost to Kansas City. It's 10 of them, and they didn't like it. George Kittle stood on that sideline as the clock wound down. He says, I will be back. I'm coming back here. He said that. So, I mean, that could be the Niners' edge right there. That mental game is like, hey, man, we got to have it. We got to have it right now. Kansas City, if they're not focused, they could get caught slipping because, hey, man, you know, we did that before, you know. As a prime example, I go fishing all the time. Okay, my son don't go fishing that often. I done been fishing with some friends of mine on the boat. I've been fished off the bank. Normally when I take my son fishing, we fish off the bank. I got a buddy of mine got a 22-foot boat, okay? 22-foot bay boat. Shout out to Dana Baker. He said, hey, man, let's take our son. He got a son about the same age as my son. Took him out there, put a life jacket on him. He got on the boat. He lost his mind on that boat. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like that. Meanwhile, my buddy's son, who goes with his dad all the time, he's like, what's this guy's deal? Like that. So that could be an example of what Kansas City and San Francisco are dealing with right now. So San Francisco could be my son on the first time on a boat going out on the water fishing. You know, and they could use that. They could definitely use that to their advantage.
Okay. All right. Last topics. Super Bowl MVP. Who we picking and why? Go.
Well, you know how we say, it could be anybody, really. And I like my X factor. My X factor is Jawan Jennings, but if you want me to give a realistic answer, if the Niners win, it's gonna be either Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy.
You know,
it's gonna be one of those two guys.
You know what though? I wouldn't be surprised if it's Debo or Ayuk.
It could be, but I'm gonna tell you now. Most of the time, for a receiver to get the Super Bowl MVP, they gotta have 10, 11 catches.
With 200-something yards and like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Like Jerry Rice had 11 catches for 250 yards when he got Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
You know, it would have to be something along those lines. And the way the Niners spread the ball out, you know, I just think that I think it would probably be, if you just had me to narrow it down, I would have to say CMC, because in order for the 49ers to win this game, they're gonna have to come downhill on Kansas City. CMC is gonna have 20+ touches. And I think if he does get 20+ touches, he's gonna go over 100 yards. He's probably gonna have 2 house calls, which might be the difference in the game.
Okay.
So I would say CMC. I don't think if they win this game, it's not going to be because Brock Purdy threw it all over the yard. It's going to be because they ran down Kansas City throat.
Okay.
And Brock Purdy made some really smart and timely passes here and there to maybe move the chains, you know. But I think the stat getter, if the Niners are going to win this game, the stat getter is going to be CMC.
Okay.
On the Chiefs side, if the Chiefs win, it's going to be Pat Mahomes. I don't care who does what in that game. They're going to give it to Pat Mahomes. Mahomes, because they want to be able to see, or you know what? They may give it to Travis Kelce just so they can force Taylor Swift on us one more time. So, but I think they're going to give it to Pat Mahomes. So,
okay.
Yeah, if they win.
Okay. Who do you have winning? Why? And do you have amount of points?
I got a close one. I think San Francisco can win this one in a very close one, just like basically a cardiac game, because I've had to go on blood pressure medicine the last 2 weeks of the playoffs as a Niners fan between Green Bay and the Detroit game. I think it's going to be another cardiac game. And I got the 49ers winning by 3. And because it'll be a kick that Jake Moody makes earlier in the game that's going to be the difference, something like that. But if it comes down to Jake Moody making a kick at the end of the game, the Niners are going to lose this game.
Okay.
I do not trust Jake Moody one iota, and Robbie Gold sitting at home with some popcorn laughing every time Jake Moody misses a kick. See, you could have gave me $9 million and he wouldn't have missed that. You know why he wouldn't have missed it? Because I'd have been there kicking it. He'd have been somewhere else. That's what Robbie Gold was at home saying right now, eating popcorn.
All right. I think I have to agree with you on Super Bowl MVPs. The Kansas City wins is going to go to Mahomes. Kelsey will be number 2. San Francisco wins. CMC probably 1, and Purdy probably number 2. I got Kansas City winning by 5. Until San Francisco shows me that their defense is playing disciplined football.
They just got to tackle.
Kansas City, I just feel like it's just more organized right now. They're just playing way more organized football. I got Kansas City by 5.
KC by 5. Okay.
So that's what I have. But we'll see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting game on Sunday. Both teams should, like I said earlier in the show, both teams should be practicing tomorrow, Thursday. Probably a regular practice on Friday. If not, it's a walkthrough. Saturday might be an extreme lightweight walkthrough. And then Sunday's game day, 6:30 p.m. I think on CBS, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's on. Is it Fox?
It's not on Fox.
It's CBS. Okay.
Yeah, it's CBS. Yeah, CBS. Because now on Fox, now on NBC, so it's on CBS. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is another week for Just a Fan Podcast. Next week, we're gonna be covering the results of the Super Bowl. All right.
Super Bowl fallout.
Super Bowl fallout. We thank Steve for jumping on. He had to get off. He had to do something.
I'm going to send a crack commando unit into the jungles of Vietnam to find Tristan because I believe he's a POW.
Well, I think Tristan put on a bluff about Cliff Kingsbury, and I think he wasn't able to get on because he deep down in his heart he knows Cliff Kingsbury is not as offensive coordinator, but whatever. And
we're gonna talk about that too next week.
Yeah,
oh, he's coaching because child to Washington. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I know, I just put some fuel on the fire for him to really jump on next week. If he's not watching the show now,
he gonna make a TikTok.
If he's not watching the show now, he's definitely, and he's gonna watch it later because he always does. I just added fuel on the fire, saying that this was a terrible hire. But you, me, and Steve, saying we've been on this train. We're on this train already by ourselves. So, anyway, that direction, panel 316, the defensive guy on this show.
Put some respect on Brock Purdy's name.
Never,
regardless of what happens in this game, you better
never. It's like no. Anyway,
you probably be the team you root for.
Anyway, Coach Williams, quarter host of the show, the Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing, the NFL Encyclopedia. I love simulator pressures. Okay, I do. If y'all know what simulator pressures are, ask me, DM me, text me, call me, whatever. I'll tell you what they are. We out. Peace.
Don't screw this up, Shanahan.
Peace.